Hello everyone, this is the Kitsune Hawk, and welcome back to Let's Play 80 Days. This is now in 30 FPS instead of 60 FPS because, I found out that my computer goes over CPU when it tries to edit 60 FPS videos that are above 15 minutes length. I have found this out the hard way with Rabby Ribby. So, anyways, in our last poll, 40 people voted overall, and from Aiden, we're going to Bombay. We're going to India. That one actually called for a tiebreaker. The last time we did that, I do believe, was between Rome and Vienna. So before turning in for the night, I afforded my master every service. Yes, we need to build back. We need to build up Fogg's health. We lost quite a bit of it in the last episode. Okay, so we can now head on over to Bombay. Oh, wow, ooh, this is going to be a toll on our health. Baking sunshine, high temperatures, and mild seas. P&O liner, Mongolia. We are very far from Mongolia. Why did you name your boat that? At Aden, we stepped aboard the steamer Mongolia, which was a relief after our uncomfortable adventures date. It's like they know! The passengers were a mixture of well-to-do sorts and military types, and I wondered which of them would come to know which of them we would come to know on the 8-day trip to India. The Mongolia had filled her iron belly with coal at Aden, and we departed steamer port in good time. Let's talk with... Oh, hello, Master. Begin conversation. Yeah, let's see if you know where to go, Monsieur Fogg. What have you learned about Bombay? The British still control Bombay, though I hear there is unrest elsewhere. Can we go to... did you discover anything in the paper about Bangalore? My brother used to talk about the passenger airship from Bangalore to Nova Goa. Okay, that might be worth looking into. We have made a hefty find and we do not intend to lose. Okay, so we could go to Bombay to Nova Goa to Bangalore. Alright, that's a plan. The shipping lanes outside Aden were busy. We passed close enough to other streamers to make out individual passers taking a turn above deck. A little boy leaned over a railing and waved at me. So I waved back and grinned. Monsieur Fogg gave me a look as if to chide me for making a spectacle of myself, but I was too taken with a child's expression of artless joy to take my master's disapproval much to heart. I turned my face to the warm wind and enjoyed the sense of movement. Now we were truly on our way. Oh dear, that is some rough seas there. Yes, Monsieur Fogg, you need to keep your health up, man. At breakfast, I saw a young, bronze-skinned lady in a lilac day dress scribbling in a notebook, her eggs and smoked mackerel untouched upon her plate. Every now and then, she would pause and gaze into the middle distance, a pen pressed against her lips. An intriguing sight, but I left her to her thoughts. A valet cannot go around interrupting young ladies. The scene developed, however. A few minutes later, a man stormed in, evidently her father. "Eleanor Williamson," he demanded, "are you writing again?" I slipped away before things grew too embarrassing. A young lady's anger should not be seen in public. Your character is now well-heeled. That's going to benefit us at some point in the story, because apparently the personality traits do come into play in a few cutscenes. I happened upon Demoiselle Williamson in the piano room, where she was studiously ignoring the music and merriment in favor of her notebook. Remembering her prickly nature, I left well alone. Though as she wrote, I had the sense she was occasionally looking up at me. I fear I may yet appear in whatever she is writing. Oh, dear. Yes, Monsieur Fogg, we are going to pay attention to you every single chance we get. Monsieur Williamson offered me a pipeful of tobacco in the evening. I am perplexed by my daughter, he admitted miserably. What is so perplexing? I asked gently. She does not behave in the manner of a lady at all, he groaned. She told me last night that she has been writing penny dreadfuls for this past year. She is... His gentlemanly voice dropped with horror, so the last word was a mere croak. Published. Her endless scribbling and ink-stained fingers made sudden sense. Oh dear, how do we respond to this? You fear scandal? Scandal has already bitten. She has broken her engagement because she has independent means. Perhaps then she will find her own husband, I suggested. Monsieur Williamson's neck turned an unsavory shade of purple. But anyone with a penny may now read her most intimate thoughts wantonly printed upon the page. Oh man, I have no idea what to say. I sighed. At least she has told you the truth. Only after a year of lies, Monsieur Williamson corrected bitterly. He took his leave soon after, and as I retired to bed, I saw him still pacing the deck, eyes downcast. Oh dear, I feel like I might have messed something up there. And since we haven't been reading the news lately, we're getting, like, seriously behind headlines there. A slim volume had been slid under my door in the night, bound with a ribbon and a short note. I saw you talking to my father. Perhaps you can persuade him of his daughter's worth. Miss Nor Williamson. I picked up the cheaply bound book, titled Adriana and the Lost Sarcophagus of Thebes, and opened it at the first page. Adriana Herawi was no ordinary lady. While other girls of her age and background took up watercolors and practiced their scales upon the piano and dreamed of matrimony, Adriana dreamed of sun-bleached cities and featureless deserts of yellow sand. I settled in to read Miss Williamsworth's novella until my master woke and required my services. Well, that doesn't seem too bad. Yes, tend to the master. Master must be in good health. I am like the worst valet. Well, demanded Mademoiselle Williamson at lunch, what did you think of my story? Adriana's a charming creation. I only wish my father thought so, she sighed. He read my volume last night and believes Adriana is merely a cipher for my own passions and being. He does not understand art, clearly. The demoiselle tossed her head. Worse, he believes Lord Havering to be Adriana's lover and now suspects that I am concealing my own paramour from him. She glared into the middle distance. Lord Havering is the villain. He is Adriana's nemesis. He is utterly misreading the text. Such are the dangers of authorship, I grinned. No doubt many others will misconstrue your words in their turn. But Havering thwarts Adriana constantly and condescends to her at every turn. He even threatens her with a rapier. How can such a relationship be misread? Mademoiselle Williamson dug into her venison savagely, muttering of interfering fathers and irresponsible readers. Wisely, I said nothing. There was clearly nothing that could be done for this unfortunate father-daughter pair. And with Bombay so close, now was not the time to attempt any risky reconcilements. Yeah, it is day 30. We have places we need to be. Oh my goodness. I am no tourist, St. Francis declared with a cheerful glee towards my master as they dealt another hand. I am taking the train to Calcutta on important business. How long does the train take? I inquired, or was about to, as just then the infernal Monsieur Williamson stormed in, threw a glove at me, and bellowed a challenge. Excuse me, monsieur? I asked in bewilderment. You mean to challenge me? You, said Monsieur Williamson, his voice dropping with venom, are Lord Havering, and you have led my daughter astray. I have not led your daughter anywhere, I insisted, though I perceived, unlike the rest of the recreation room, that Monsieur Williamson was referring to the character in Adriana and the Lost Sarcophagus of Thebes. The man scowled. No, we'll pick the first option. Besides which, Lord Havering is clearly a villain and not a romantic hero. Aha! He picked up his glove and then tossed it once more. You have read her text, you blackguard! And yet the way we spoke together, you acted quite the charming innocent. He drew his arm back and made a fist, and I realized he was almost certainly about to punch me in the face. I love how that's italicized. Oh dear, I don't know how to reply to this! Ooh, I throw my own punch preemptively. It landed in a sickening crunch of flesh and bone. He collapsed like a sack of potatoes, clutching his broken nose and bleeding profusely on the carpeted deck. I stared at him in horror. "What in the name of Ron Osiris is going on?" Miss Williamson shouted, arriving at the precise unfortunate moment. She seized her father by the armpits and dragged him away, muttering various unladylike curses as blood trickled off his chin, and I called vague apologies. Monsieur Fogg regarded me with remarkable aplomb, given the scene which had preceded. "You would tell me, would you not, if you had outraged any ladies of late, Passepartout," he remarked. I nodded neatly, trying, if possible, to regather my composure. "Well, we're organized now, and we can now go from Bombay to Allahabad and Calcutta. Yeah, looks like we might have several destinations here in Bombay." I kept my cabin on the last day of our journey to avoid any repetition of the previous evening's debacle, but I could not afford Miss Williamson as we disembarked at Bombay. She clutched her hands to her bosom theatrically as she spotted me. "Goodbye, my dear Lord Havering," she called, counterfeiting a sickly, love-struck smile. "I will never forget you." Nor I you, Adriana," I called back, with a rakish smile as her father turned a bright, horrible shade of red beside her, and then we disembarked into the humid, salt and smoke-laced air of Bombay. We had arrived in India. We're well heeled again. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Alright, let's explore Bombay. Oh yes, we can go to Nova Goa, we can go to Mangalore, we can go to Madras from there. Hello, Sitar in the background. Monsieur Fogg cared not a straw for the wonders of Bombay, but gave me a few hours' leisure as he settled to his luncheon. I ended up wheezing and puffing my way up Malabar Hill, the highest point in South Bombay. I paused at the top to look towards the city. I could see the gas lamps along the Queen's Necklace of Marine Drive being lit one by one in preparation for the evening, and palm trees waving in the salt-scented breeze. Catching my breath, I found my steps irresistibly drawn towards the, Banganga Temple. The temple tower was reflected serenely in the water of the reservoir, fed by an underground spring said to come from the Ganges, I think is how you pronounce that? Correct me if I'm wrong, Indian viewers. I think that's Hindi? Not sure. Could be Sanskrit. I entered the temple, fascinated by the relief carvings of gods and goddesses which covered the entire Gopuram. One of the priests spotted me and issued a great painted cry of alarm. I turned and fled without a full thought passing between my brain and feet. Alas, the priest's cry drew the attention of his fellows and other temple-goers, all of whom descended upon me in a pack. They took my shoes and hat and ejected me from the temple complex with rather zealous roughness. I tried to catch my breath for a few moments. My cultural explorations had proved rather more strenuous than expected. A woman in a deep umber sari offered me a pristine white handkerchief. Non-Hindus are not allowed in the temple, she declared, especially with their shoes on. I did not realize, I explained, and she sniffed. Where do you think you are, Gora? She demanded, her hand on hip. This is not Paris, this is Bombay. Bother yourself to learn the difference. I handed back her handkerchief with thanks. Though I was irritated by her words, her customs mattered little to me. To lose my shoes to them was the real desecration. I returned to my master barefoot and rather shamefaced. I hope this will not happen again, said my master coldly. That was to be the last word on Bombay, gateway to the jewel in the crown of the British Empire. Except for... And what, pray, has happened to your shoes? Okay. So we can go to... Oh, whoa, that is expensive as hell. We are not going to Nova Goa. Bangalore's cheap. Oh my no, I am not doing a poll this episode. There is one option, and it is cheap. Okay, so we can buy... Wait, we can sell it for a profit in Manila? Okay. Block of henna. Where is Rangoon? Rangoon is in Thailand, yes? Where's my map with all the... Oh, wait, no, it's this way. Yeah, we're going to Madras, and then I might do a poll at the end of the episode. So, Rangoon is... Yes, it looks like... Not Thailand. What country is this? It's not... Because Vietnam would be right here. Thailand... Bangladesh! Bangladesh is where that would be, right? Because India, and then Bangladesh, and then... Okay. Yeah, we're gonna spend a night in Bombay. I think it leaves tomorrow. Does it leave tomorrow? Yes, leaves tomorrow at 10 a.m. So we're gonna have to spend a night in Bombay. We took a room and settled in, and I spent a few hours walking around, but found nothing of any particular interest. Oh, that sounds like gamelan music! Hey! So we're gonna buy the henna, because I think we're probably gonna end up in Rangoon. And then, let's go on to Madras, or Madras. Madras Mail. Oh, we're on a mail train! Okay. The Bombay Express was a fine train, rivaling the Orient Express herself for comfort and luxury. Inside each softly lit compartment, Persian rugs and Venetian lamps threw color over fittings of teak wood and burnished brass. Most acceptable. If only all our journeys were so well appointed. What's going on in the news? Experimental hovercraft to launch from Yokohama! Where does that go? Yokohama all the way to... Is that going all the way to San Francisco? No, it goes all the way to Honolulu. Yeah, because I really want to go to Yokohama. Yokohama probably will have a sea route all the way to San Fran. Because if we can get into San Fran, we can get to New York some way or another, and then we can get back to London. I went to explore the observation decks, set with wicker chairs and parasols to better and more comfortably observe the countryside flashing past. And that was where I met Anne-Marie Spencer, a girl of maybe 10 years, sketching the distant hills. I greeted her politely as I took the spot beside her. She smiled and with deft movements adjusted the position of her wheeled chair to give me more room, dropping one of her pencils as she moved. I returned it with a bow and she giggled. "You must be French," she declared. "You are gallant indeed." I smiled politely and looked aside. "I knew it," she said. "I have a good eye. I see things as they are. That is why I draw." I looked over her pictures to be confronted by their strangeness. I could not recognize anything of the landscape as she was so closely watching in the lines and shapes that filled the page. I felt like I really misread that. "You have a most unusual style," I hedged. "Oh, monsieur, I have a good eye. I can see you are lying." I shrugged and did not attempt to deny it. "Your pictures are terrible, mademoiselle. They offend my eye, your sense of proportion in space, they are unspeakable." She nodded. "Most honorable?" Just then my attention was distracted as my master beckoned me over to make ready his evening wear. I bid her farewell, and she nodded to me. "I will see you again, Monsieur Passepartout," she told me as I left her. I did not stop to wonder that day how it was she knew my name. What was that? What's in the headlines? Mormon Desert Railway is cheaper, faster, and drier. Hey! San Pedro to Las Vegas to Salt Lake City. Hey! Okay, we're probably not going to stop in Bangalore, because I want to get to Madras. The next morning, I had discovered I had lost my passport. I told Monsieur Fogg immediately, risking his displeasure at the possibility of delay, but in truth, I think he was amused. "Should I lose my passepartout," he replied, "I would be most vexed." I went up to the observation deck, retracting my steps from yesterday and hoping my documents had not slid off the deck onto the rails far beyond. And then I re-encountered the girl still sketching her abysmal pictures. "The most excellent Monsieur Passepartout," she cried. "Sit down, I want you to tell me about Cairo." I regret I cannot spare the time, I replied. I have lost my passport and will be in severe difficulties if I cannot locate it. That is most dreadful, she replied. Then she began to giggle, at first delicately and then more and more uproariously. I rather feared I understood the source of her mirth. Holding out a hand, I demanded the return of my passport. By way of reply, she took my hand and got to her feet. I am afraid I am a dreadful kleptomaniac, she apologized with deep insincerity and dropped a curtsy, and an unparalleled liar to boot. And then she giggled again. And the chair? My arrangement with the train guard, she said. I agreed to stay in the chair and out of mischief so they didn't lock me up, but your pocket came so close. My passport, please, I demanded with no small irritation. I dropped it, she replied with an indifferent smug. Somewhere. I am most disappointed, I declared. An open laugh. Then Anne-Marie sat down again, suddenly glum. You've stopped being charming, she said morosely. Here's your passport. She reached into a fold of her dress and pulled out my papers. She made as though to flick through, to flick them out the window. I stood back, arms folded, determined not to perform for this creature. She sighed and glowered, then tossed my passport at my feet. What sort of name is Passepartout anyway? She demanded sulkily. I wiped my brow with relief. A long and most difficult delay had been avoided. All right, Monsieur Fogg, we are nearly in Madras. I did not see the girl at all today. I think she was being kept within her quarters under some kind of observation. Suitable to her fragrant criminality, I occupied my time waiting on my master's needs, and bringing him tea, and he perked up rapidly. We're organized again! Hey! Alright, hopefully we can get somewhere in Madras. Hopefully Rangoon. At Madras, they pushed the young girl from the train down a ramp, and she waved at me before turning to face the road ahead. I waved back with my free hand, and then she was gone. Who was that girl? My master asked. A dreadful liability, I replied. Monsieur Fogg seemed displeased by my answer. I suppose it was not very gallant. Still, I spoke nothing but the truth. Wow, we have really kind of messed up our relationship with Monsieur Fogg. Madras. What can we get here? Not really anything notable here. So let's explore Madras. Okay, we can go from Madras to Colombo, Madras to Waltaire. Madras was a city within a city. Inside the walls and fortifications of Fort St. George was Whitetown, where British memsahibs and factors traded and went to church and traveled from place to place in mechanical palanquins? I've seen that word before. I don't know how to pronounce it. Outside the walls was the glorified shanty of Blacktown, where Indian servants and laborers and clerks made their homes. I stayed in Whitetown, of course, and wandered its manicured gardens and broad gaslit streets, attracting little attention from the residents of their servants. A valet was no doubt a common sight, but after a few minutes I realized I was being stalked. I turned to face my shadow, to find myself face to face with a nun. Would you like a blessing, good sir? An ornate gold cross hung heavily from her neck. Yeah, I'd like a blessing that we're gonna get to America before day 50. A smile sprouted razors, and without further warning she brought her heavy gold cross down on my head with a crack. My vision sputtered and sparked into darkness. When I awoke, I was in a nunnery. My non-assailant offered me a cool cloth. I am Sister Panimalar. Panimalar? And this is the convent of the Sisters of Didacus. What's a Didacus? Or Didacus. Didacus is a Spanish saint who died in... Why am I doing a Spanish accent? Who died in 1463. King Philip II commissioned a clockwork automaton of Didacus, which could pray. The first automaton man of God, but not the last. She took a breath. My order does not believe, as the Pope does, that automatons are abominations. We believe that machines, too, are capable of grace. All this theology while my head still span. I went briefly cross-eyed and fell over. The sister propped me back up. Please listen to me, she said. The Didacian sisters are dedicated to search for a machine which has a soul, and now we require for your help in our search. You could have simply asked. The Lord does not ask, he expects. Now listen to me. She helped me woozily to my feet. If you find an automaton whose shard is engraved with a soul on your travels, send a telegram to us. We have our own receiving station here. We will reward you materially if that is your wish, but we must have such a shard. As you say, I agreed, wishing to make good my escape. I'll inform you at once. I have faith, the nun said calmly. Then she let me go. I did not know what to make of Sister Panamalar and her order of artificier nuns then, and I do not know now. I admit I was glad to know we would be leaving Madras and its walls and fortifications and secrets. Okay, we've got a poll. We've got a poll to do. We got Waltair, which looks like it's still in India, and Colombo in Sri Lanka. It looks like from Colombo we also have a route all the way to Singapore. So, up to you. We can definitely go across the Southeast Seas this way, but we also have an item that's going to get us a lot of money in Rangoon. So if we go from Rangoon, we could get into China. So either way, I'll leave up a poll at the end of the video. So until then, we have made quite some progress in this episode.